Can I give you a ticket?
What?
Can I give you a ticket?
Yes!
Because you want a ticket to anywhere.
Can I ask you a question? Can I go with you? Ah! Yeah! Oh my gosh!
Sweden, now the country with the highest percentage of Thai wives. Now, this article is actually from Thursday, April 12th, 2012. It's an older article. However, the thing that I wanted to talk about was the fact that if you look at the headline, it says Swedish governor wants to limit the Thai women who are marrying Swedes. Now, one of the things that you'll notice about Europe is dying, basically. First of all, even if you ignore what's going on right now with Russia versus Ukraine, where you've just lost over, well, we don't even know the official numbers, but some estimates say that there's been 10,000 Ukrainian soldiers killed. And then these Western propaganda numbers say that there's like 100,000 Russian soldiers killed. But obviously, we can't trust those numbers. Even if you want to ignore that conflict and just wipe that out of the numbers, right? I've already shown you, and you can look it up right now, the current, like 2020 or 2022, the birth rates in Europe are very, very low. The birth rates in pretty much all of Europe. Hungary, I showed you an article where they were trying to convince women to have children by offering them minivans or giving them subsidies on 7-seater vehicles. And a lot of the other European countries like Finland and Denmark and Belarus, and a lot of those countries, the bottom line is the birth rates are low. You can look it up yourself because I've already talked about it. So one of the reasons that America, despite the fact we, are basically American citizens have been having fewer kids, the only thing that's keeping our population afloat is immigration. Now, in my opinion, that's a catch-22 because immigration is costing the taxpayer more money, which is money that normally would have went to make the taxpayer's own pocket stronger, to make them better suited for marriage. So if you're busy paying taxes for some immigrant to come in, that's less money you have to buy a house or date or even get married. So in my opinion, it's like you have a snake that's literally eating itself in this country. Now, I'll try not to go too far off on a tangent. I want to read the story first. So this is an older story, but it's something that wasn't talked about much here because we probably just ignored it. But I believe that now that passport bros are winning, and now that passport bros are getting their passports to go to Thailand and Cartagena and all these countries, I believe that this article is relevant now more than ever. You've probably noticed over the summer, you've probably noticed a lot of, especially black males, traveling to Thailand or traveling to the Philippines. So let's see why would the Swedish governor want to limit Thai women marrying Swedes? So it says, Sweden has emerged as the country with the highest percentage of local men with Thai wives. You see this right here? This is a Thai woman that they use her photo right there. Okay, as well as a growing number of Thai workers traveling to Sweden as seasonal workers, the number of Thai women arriving in Sweden has increased threefold over the last 10 years. Over 80% of Thai immigrants to Sweden are relationship partners or Thai wives of Swedish men, and Sweden, like Germany, has a long tradition of men seeking Thai wives of life partners. Sweden is one of a few countries where there is now a second and third generation Thai community, which still maintains very close links to Thailand. However, the increased levels of younger Thai women younger Thai women now entering Sweden has now become a political issue, of course. Last year, a female governor of one rural Swedish province requested that the government look into the situation, investigate abuse, and perhaps even limit the number of Thai women permitted into the country. So basically, you've got some Karen who thinks that she can stop these Swedish men from achieving happiness by trying to claim that they're abusing all the women and then trying to make it so that they can't come there. Right. Typical Karen. Typical Karen trying to ruin everybody else's fun. I bet I know what her haircut looks like. In fact, when we find out her name, I'm going to look her up and see what her picture looks like. Okay. She has now been given a mandate from the Swedish government to investigate the trend. Although government agencies and leading academics, I think they meant academics with an S, but nobody fucking proofreads anymore, have also and leading academic have also conductive Jesus Christ, you people don't fucking use proofread. Oh my God. Okay. She has now been given a mandate from the Swedish government to investigate the trend, although government agencies and leading academics have also conducted qualitative studies into the nature of the growing number of relationships between Swedish men and Thai women. First of all, this is one of the reasons I don't read these, some of them. I don't read some of these studies, and I don't read some of these statistics when I do these videos. I'm not going to do it. You know why? Because first of all, you know what's going on. You know what's going on? Swedish men are getting Thai women because Swedish women are terrible now. That's why. It's just that simple. Not to mention they're getting younger Thai women because these Swedish women are terrible. We'll just use the word terrible. I don't need no goddamn they spelled it wrong, but I don't need to conduct a study to know what's going on. The same shit's going on here. That is why white men in America are leaving America and headed to Southeast Asia or headed to South America. We don't need a study for that shit. All you got to do is walk up to walk up to one of these white men and say, "Sir, no offense. I would just like to ask, why did you marry a Filipino wife?" And just give yourself about 5 minutes, because he's going to sit back and he's going to rattle off a whole list of reasons why he hates white women. And he's going to tell you. Just find yourself a black man. Walk up to him and say, "Excuse me, sir. Could you please tell me," and no offense at all, I would just like to know, why did you marry a non-black woman? Why did you marry a white woman? Why did you marry an Asian woman? And let him just sit back and explain it to you. You don't need no fucking study for this. This is bullshit. But we already know what's happening here. We know what's happening. Passport bros are winning. Although Sweden portrays itself to be one of the more liberal countries. Yup, see, right there. Right there. Right there. That's your problem. So anyway, the Swedish government is concerned with this as immigration becomes a powerful and divisive issue. Let me change this sentence. No. The Swedish government is worried that they have a future of non-white Swedes that aren't Swedish white, and now they're going to be Thai Swedes. That's what they're worried about. You know, it's funny when you listen to when the KKK starts rallying here and they start making their complaints and shit. That's exactly what they're saying. They're worried that there's like the white man's being replaced and all this. And I have to say, you're absolutely right. You are. And it's not because anybody's doing anything to you. It's because your men are leaving. Your men, as I said in the last video, your men are divesting. White men don't want to deal with this nonsense of liberal feminism anymore. If you're a white man and you hear the sound of my voice, you can make a comment. You can tell me that I'm right because you know it's true. You know you're sick and tired of you white men who are under this liberal feminazi, this we're behind enemy lines in this liberal feminazi encampment. Y'all will spend $200 to get your passport. You will spend thousands of dollars to fly overseas. And it's gotten so bad because, you know, here in the manosphere, stepdaddies and we call them cleanup bros, but these guys are being shamed for going overseas and marrying foreign women if they already have children by some other man who didn't marry them, right? These men who do that are being shamed. But here's one of the things I've realized, like I've watched a lot of white men who have channels where they've married Filipinas who've had children, or they've married Thai women who've had children from a previous relationship. Here's the thing though. Things have gotten so bad and these dudes are so lonely that they don't care. They don't care if you call them simps and blue pillars and this, that. They don't give a fuck. It's just that simple. Like, I think that's a term that we need to use more as a society about certain issues. It's like they just don't give a fuck. That's something George Carlin brought up. He's like, yeah, why is it that we just can't say, no, they don't give a fuck? They are interested in meeting their priorities and they don't give a fuck what you have to say. So these men don't care about being shamed by other men. These men don't care about making their mama cry. Oh, I thought you were going to marry a white woman. I thought you were going to marry a black woman. They don't give a fuck. They don't even care about their own parents' feelings. They just don't care. Let me try to get through this article because I swear to God I could do this all day. Okay. In fact, the Swedish government has had several issues to deal with. In spite of it representing its country as liberal and progressive, there's your problem right there. Swedes has been? No, I think you mean Sweden has been. God damn it, these people don't edit. Sweden has been putting their government under pressure. No. Swedes have been putting that, because you're talking about the people. Swedes have been putting their government under pressure to investigate such issues as gay and lesbian marriages. The ordination of lesbian bishops and the growth of the sex industry in Sweden, including the large numbers of Thai massage parlors in Stockholm. Yeah, Stockholm invented Stockholm syndrome. You people are literally being held hostage. You're being held hostage by your own damn liberal government. So now you got that Stockholm syndrome. Those lobbying the Swedish government highlight the number of Thai women who appear to be discarded by their male Swedish partners or seek help from Sweden's welfare agencies. Women's groups claim many Thai... Now look where it's coming from. Look where it's coming from. Women's groups claim many Thai women have been subjected to abuse by Swedish men. I have a question. What do the Swedish men's groups say? However, like Finland and Norway, while there are documented cases of abuse, which is always common within any male-female relationship, now look at this. Most relationships between Thai women and Swedish men are successful. You know all those black women who try to say that, oh yeah, all she's going to do is she's going to use you for your passport. She's going to come to this country. She's going to leave you. While there are some cases like that, the vast majority of them are successful. Look at Tiger Woods' father, for example. You see, the sad thing about it is they're so desperate to make a case that they can use to try to pass legislation that the overwhelming number of cases that exist don't help them make their case. But this is when you got this liberal feminazism and you're behind enemy lines. So anyway, although there's no accurate data on relationship breakdown, well, I thought the women's group said that the women were all getting abused. That's what I heard. That's what they said. Although there is no accurate data on relationship breakdown between Thai women who marry Swedish men, it is likely to be lower than the overall divorce rate in Sweden, which is now nearly 55%. So this is what happened. Swedish women divorcing Swedish men drove Swedish men into the arms of a lovely Thai bride. A younger Thai bride. One UK man living in Sweden estimates that over 85% of marriages between Thai women and Swedish men are successful. Jim Henderson, if I'm not mistaken, isn't that the guy who created Sesame Street? Okay. Jim Henderson is a Londoner living in Stockholm who met his Thai wife, not a London wife, Papora, on Thai Love Lines in 2010 and now lives happily in Sweden. My wife loves Sweden in spite of the cold. And by the way, that's one of the reasons why Thai women, they actually don't want to move to parts of Europe. Europe is cold. Europe is dark in most places. You ever watch Game of Thrones? Yes, that's exactly what Europe looks like right now. I believe it has something to do with the latitude. It's not near the equator. The warmth that they do get is carried by ocean currents that basically bring the water from the equator upwards towards UK. Now, right now, UK during the summer is experiencing extreme heat right now. But in general, Europe is cold and it's dark and it's rainy. A lot of Thai women are used to having 80 to 90 degrees every day. They're used to bright sunshine since they're used to living near the equator. A lot of them don't, well, Thai and Filipino, a lot of them do not want to move to Europe. However, these women are not selfish. They know that if they get one of these men, and the men know it too. So when these women say, yeah, the women are using you and all this, the men know they're being used. They don't give a fuck. These women are not selfish. They know that if they marry a European or an American man, when they move with him and they're his wife, and they're giving him the cooking, the cleaning, the house, the sex, and some of them get jobs after they get a green card. But see, the governments typically make it hard for them to get their green card. These women know that once they've moved with this man and now she's their wife, that she is now going to provide for her family back in Thailand or back in the Philippines. See, what you got to understand is if you marry a Filipino woman, for example, or a Thai woman, right, and she moves to America, let's say she gets her green card and she gets a starter, like a little bullshit job. Where do you see Filipinos working? You see them working mostly in nursing. You see them working in hospitals, right? Usually they're working as orderlies or they're working as, what is it called? Sometimes nurses. Sometimes they don't have the full nurse certification. So sometimes usually it's like orderlies, right? Or they're working as receptionists or something. If they get even a bullshit job, if they're making $25,000 or $30,000 a year, that's more money than they've seen in their entire life. The average Filipino only makes about $10,000 a year if she's a worker. The poor Filipinos only make about $200 to $300 a month. If they're lucky, it's more like $400 a month, maybe $450. Maybe even, let's say if they're really, really lucky and get a really, really good job, they might make $500 a month. So when they move with an American man, they're not lazy. They want to work because if they work, they can send maybe a couple $100 home to their parents and they can basically provide for their whole family just by sending $500 a month, believe it or not. Yeah, that's right. $500 a month, and let's say if they're lucky enough to be able to send $1,000 a month, they make their whole family rich. Their whole family would be able to send their kids to school, pay for the parents when they get older and sick and everything. These women are not selfish. These women play the long game, I've heard some people say. They play the long game. They're like, you know what, if I get with this guy, this white man, this black man, this even Hispanic man, if I get with this guy and I come back to America or I come back to Sweden, I can work, I can send money home to my family, and I'm going to have a better life than I would have had if I stayed there in Manila. These women aren't stupid. American women seem to have a problem, but no, these women are not, they want to work, They want to provide. They want to contribute. But what they're not doing is they're not putting themselves above the men. You've been watching all of these manosphere channels, like you've been watching what is his name? Mediocre Tutorial Reviews, and you've been watching Replicant Fish, and they keep coming out with all these videos where they're showing, and it's mostly white women on TikTok or black women on TikTok making videos about how they're angry that men won't date them, and they're hitting 40, and they're upset. Yeah, well, guess what? These Filipinas, these Thai women, they understand this shit, apparently, when they're in their 20s. They're like, you know what? I got to get a man, and I got to work with him, and I got to be a supportive partner. And if I do that, he's going to basically fill in the rest of the details. But that's just what it is. That's just what it is. So it says, although there are undoubtedly concerns for some Thai women who are married to Swedes or in long-term relationships, a new survey by a Swedish academic institute into Thai women living in rural Sweden shows that Thai women do not fit the obvious stereotypes often portrayed. The survey finds a colorful picture of strong women working hard to make a new life in a very different country and culture. This is similar to studies carried out in diverse countries such as Finland, Germany, and Australia, where government agencies have accepted that most relationships between Thai women and foreign men are in fact bona fide. I'm going to skip down just a little bit because I'm going to give you the article. You can read it yourself. In fact, increasing numbers of Swedish men are choosing Thai women to be their wives. Not only that, but immigration of both Thai men and women into Sweden is nothing new. This has been taking place for many years, and the Thai community in Sweden has been steadily growing over the years. There has not been a sudden influx of Thai women into Sweden, although the trend has increased steadily and sharply. Perhaps it has reached a critical level, or perhaps the key factor is that Swedish society is coming to terms with new political and social tensions. For instance, the Swedish berry industry has relied on Thais for many years, except for Thais picking berries under temporary work visas. The Swedish berry harvest would have been in trouble. This is a job that native Swedes apparently dislike doing. It's kind of like those Americans who are so fucking lazy that they don't want to do the jobs that they're letting Mexican immigrants in to do. Something like that. Thais can make enough money picking berries in a season to buy a house back in Thailand. Their monthly income is more than that of a doctor in Thailand. Oh shit, look at that. Look at that. Their monthly income is more than that of a doctor in Thailand. And Swedes should not judge income by their own standards. Many berry pickers originate from a very poor northeast of Thailand, where the income these workers can earn is a fortune by local standards. Many return year after year because Swedes will not do the hard work for the same money. And of course, anytime women are involved, there's always some level of exploitation. Says there's certainly evidence in Sweden of abuse occurring to Thai women traveling to the country. In spite of its liberal and progressive image, Sweden has a vibrant sex industry with a reputed 190 Thai massage parlors in Stockholm alone. First of all, let me just stop right there. First of all, if they try to conflate Thai women with massage parlors and prostitution, let me say this. I went to Thailand, and I went there business class on Emirates. I have to throw that in because I love Emirates. If I had it to do over again, I probably would have went business class on Thai Airlines, but I didn't realize Thai Airlines operated the A380, and it just so happened that when I was looking for tickets, it was cheaper to fly Emirates than it was to fly Thai Air. But if I ever go to Thailand again, I would definitely fly Thai Air, and I would use the A380 business class. So I just have to throw that in. But bottom line is, when I was in Thailand, there were massage parlors everywhere. everywhere. I mean, there were massage parlors in the freaking airport. I ain't never seen that before. And I understand that some airports, especially when your business are first, they have massages. And by the way, the women who fly to these countries, they take advantage of those massages too, by the way. But I personally don't like people touching me. That's just how it is. I don't like strange people touching me. So I have never, in my life, I've never gone to a massage parlor. There was only one time that I did a massage, and it was because I had to have physical therapy after a car accident. And they used acupuncture. They used massage on the back, only the back. But here's the thing. I don't like strange people I don't know. I don't like them touching me. That's just how I am. You know, to each his own. Some people love massages. I don't like massages. In fact, I don't even like some people I know I don't like touching me. I just don't like being touched. You know, some people don't like being touched. That's just what it is. But I can't cap on that, because here's the thing. If I were to say, oh yeah, I went to Thailand, I went from massage parlor to massage parlor, get massage, somebody could try to shame you, but I really wouldn't care even if I did. But I don't. I really don't like it. I just don't like strange people touching me. I don't. But anyway, but massage parlors are everywhere in Thailand. One thing, even in the Philippines, I didn't see many massage parlors. I didn't see many of them. In Thailand, I saw them everywhere. I saw foot massage parlors. I saw women's beauty spa massage parlors. I saw them not even in just the tourist spots. I saw them everywhere. It was like Khao San Road. There was massage parlors everywhere. It was like I had never seen that many massage parlors. But that's just something that Asians tend to set up. They have Chinese massages, they have Thai massage, they have Japanese massage. They got the ones where supposedly they got women walking on your back and shit. But since the women only weigh like 100 pounds, it's not that big of a deal. And the men don't seem to have a problem with it because they lined up to go to them. Not to mention, obviously sometimes there is a level of prostitution involved, because I think we've had a couple of Long Island massage parlors that got busted and everything. So listen, my problem is that they want to label this to be exploitation. First of all, those women came there to do that job. I don't consider that exploitation. I consider that capitalism. But you're also talking about the same people who try to say that it's exploitation when we're getting clothes made in these countries because we're not paying their kids $100 an hour. So you're only paying them $5 a day or something. That's exploitation. Well, listen, it's called capitalism. And since you don't run any businesses and all you can do is write stupid articles that you don't even proofread, as far as I'm concerned, your opinion don't count. But if you want to prove me wrong, you want to go over there and you want to stop the governments from doing what they're doing, go ahead, be my guest. I would just like you to have somebody follow you with a GoPro. So this way, when those foreign police go upside your head with a billy club, that I can have it conveniently on Facebook or Instagram video so I can replay it. And then I can use you as an example to other people of why you shouldn't interfere in other countries' affairs. That's how I feel about it. So anyway, what does it say? I'm not even going to read all this. I'm not going to read all this. Integration of Thais into Swedish communities. Enlightened immigration policies in Sweden have led to a virtual invasion. Now see, there's that racist language right there. See, some people, when you read stuff, you don't read it the way I read it. That's that racist language, an invasion. You act like this is motherfucking Independence Day 4 and there's aliens and shit with gigantic spaceships coming here. Of many kinds, not just crop pickers. Thais have also moved to Sweden to open restaurants and Thai restaurants. Well, that's good. That's good. Now you can get Thai food. I wish I had a Thai restaurant around here. We only got Chinese food restaurants. As in countries, one thing I've noticed is the healthier the food, the more people in America are to reject it. Chinese food here is nothing like Chinese food in China. When I was in China, they got these steam baskets. They steam everything. Their noodles, their rice, all that stuff. Steam, fresh. They barely fry the stuff. They steam the pork. They steam the beef. When you eat that food, that shit runs right through you, and you start losing weight almost immediately. Almost immediately. But as soon as you come back to America, all that weight comes right back. Anybody who's ever gone to Asia for a month or two, you can attest to what I'm saying. But Thai food is healthy. That's one thing I got to say. When you go to a Thai restaurant, their food is healthy. I don't know what they do to it. I don't know how they do it. It's all fresh cut vegetables, but their food is healthy. Not this shit that we're getting here. And then the sad thing about it is Americans aim for the unhealthy food. You guys get chicken wings and french fries. You spray the fucking hot sauce and ketchup all over the shit. You're eating fried food. And then you wonder why it is that your kids are 13 and 14, but they've got bodies that look like post-war 40-year-olds. You wonder. But maybe it has something to do with the fact you eat fried chicken and shrimp fried rice and pork fried rice. Beef fried rice. Yeah, but anyway, whatever. Whatever. We can't tell you people shit because y'all don't listen. Y'all don't listen. Anyway, Thai women in Sweden are enjoying an increasing degree of acceptance by their Swedish neighbors. Yeah, the men. The Swedish men are accepting you, many of whom learn a great deal from their Thai friends. Each culture can learn from the other. Okay, I'm going to stop right there because, I think you get the picture. So this article, again, came from Thai Love Lines. And does it say who wrote it? It doesn't say who wrote it, but it's Thai Love Lines right there. So I'm definitely going to, Thai Love Lines right there. Okay. So I'm glad I got that out of the way. Now, I made, I think, about almost 6 hours worth of video showing what it's like to travel to Thailand. Like, this was my room in a hotel named At Ease Saladong, and that was in the area. You can find it on Google Maps or you can find it on Expedia or whatever. This hotel room, as nice as this hotel room was, very, very inexpensive. And it was me and actually my Filipino girlfriend who were there. So when I was in Thailand, I was actually there with my Filipino girlfriend. I wasn't there looking for women. I was there because I just wanted to see what Thailand was like. Now, I went there actually with some Black American women. I think it was about 6 or 7 of them, right? But it was just them and it was me. But see, I flew separately than they did because I flew business class. They flew in that cheap ass economy ass fucking Air China shit. I was like, I'm not doing that. And I do understand why they would do that because I think their tickets round trip was only like $1,200 if I'm not mistaken. My tickets were like closer to $4,000. But that's one of the reasons I don't travel with other people. It's because, like, other people, they try to take, like, these cheap-ass flights, and I don't do that shit. If I'm flying, I got to have the business class. I got to have the champagne, the wine, and everything for my flights. Now, as far as the room goes, they were actually up the block at the Pavilion, and I chose this smaller hotel, which was actually, it turned out to absolutely be perfect. Most of the hotel services in Thailand tend to be really, really good. It's like if you don't get those beachfront views and you don't get those really, really nice bungalow areas, it's like the actual hotels, if you're in the city, are actually really, really nice. They're air conditioned. They have nice, spacious rooms. They got nice, spacious beds. And I had a really good overall review for this hotel. And they basically make it so that if you plan on being here for a long time, they actually give you hotel rooms as if they intend on you being there a long time. Like, you could do a month in one of these hotel rooms if you had to, because it's nice, it's spacious, and it's got a sitting area. It's a very nice use of space. So I have to give them that. Now, as far as using the cabs, I use the cabs to get around mostly because I didn't really understand their language that much. And that's one of the reasons I think a lot of American men prefer to go to the Philippines to meet women than to go to Thailand. It's because their language is way more difficult. Filipinos speak English. When you walking around the Philippines, for the most part, all the signs are in English. But when you're in Thailand, it's a paradigm shift. It's like they don't really speak English that much. I think they know it. I think they learn it. It's just that the only people who really have good English are the salesmen, and in some places they have younger generations who've learned English pretty well. They don't practice it very much. Mostly it's their language you hear or it's their language you see. And that can get very confusing. In the Philippines, it's not as hard to get around. But I would say Thailand is actually a really nice place. And I think most Americans who go overseas on tourism trips, they're going to go to Thailand because they've heard so much about Thailand. Now, the mistake that I saw, especially with the females who came along with me, is that when they go to Thailand, it's like they're not having no hot girl summer because these Thai guys ain't looking for them at all. They've got all the women in the world they need. That's why everybody seems to be so peaceful and happy down there, because they've got happy, supportive women. And they're not looking for no damn American women. When American women come there, it's like, yeah, how much money can I get out of you? And after that, like, yeah, you can just keep on moving. One thing I also noticed in the photos is that these American women are so much larger than the men in this country. I mean, these Thai guys on average are like, between 5 and 5'10". But even the women who were on my trip, my God, they eclipsed these Thai guys. They eclipsed them. So as you can see here, this is just video from the hotel that my friends chose to stay in. That out there is not a pool. That's actually just a seating area. So, what should have been a pool, because if it was me, that would have been a pool. They didn't have a pool. I had a pool at Ease Solidang. They didn't have a pool. That was just one of those sitting areas where you see these people on Instagram flexing their vacation photos. They have effigies of their king or their royal family everywhere. You're not allowed to talk negatively of the royal family. So, of course, I stay away from that. I don't say it I don't take politics with me. I don't talk to anybody about politics. I just keep it nice and simple because, you don't want to end up getting in trouble. You don't want to start no fights, no arguments, none of that. They have malls that are filled with stuff. For the most part, it's all made in China. Cell phones are a huge thing there. Charging is a huge thing there. So there's a lot of sockets, a lot of electronics, basic electronics and everything. The internet has basically taken that place by storm when it comes to these social media apps. But the interesting thing is Thailand and the Philippines, they don't allow their people, just like China, they don't allow their people to have access to most American media because they consider it to be toxic. And when I say toxic, first of all, they're not allowing any American media that insults or otherwise talks down about their governments. China, for example, they cut off social media at certain hours of the day. They expect you on, Friday nights you're allowed to play video games and maybe parts of the weekend. But other than that, they expect their kids to be studying because they don't want their kids to end up stupid like kids in America. So for the most part, they cut the internet off at certain hours. They cut Google off when they feel like it because Google, when they insult the Chinese government, they cut Google right off. They have their own web browsers. They have their own web servers. They have their own web hosts. So they can basically cut Google and Facebook completely out. They can cut Instagram completely out. Now, American companies complain about the fact that China's market is controlled by the CCP, so that's why you always hear them talking bad about the Chinese government. The reality is they're not going to allow American companies to turn their kids into idiots. Not only that, you've seen what's happened with TikTok. The Chinese government does not allow their people to have the same TikTok that they have here in America. Our kids have basically been turned into zombies, sitting on their phones, watching TikTok 24/7. China doesn't play that shit. In China, their TikTok is educational. If they feel like turning it off and they say, yeah, listen, y'all need to go outside and play or something, they turn it right off. They flick a switch. They're not going to let their kids turn into morons like we have here. They're not going to let that happen at all. I've noticed there's censorship in Filipino servers as well. There's censorship in Thai servers as well. So all of this social media effect that you're getting here in America, most of that doesn't happen overseas. And that's the reason why I bothered to talk about that, because I want you to understand that while America is allowing you to turn into nothing more than a useless, mindless consumer, these other countries are focused on making their people into highly competitive workers. And I need you to understand that. They have very nice malls. And when you go into their malls, for the most part, there's not really much for me. I mean, mostly it's women's clothes, and then it's clothing sold in sizes for Thai men. You know, they don't really have American sizes there. And not only that, their clothes aren't going to fit you as an American like they fit these people, because chances are your body and your frame is shaped very differently. But for the most part, it's a very nice place to be, very nice shopping if you so happen to be able to buy stuff that works out for you. They have lots and lots and lots of stuff and gadgets. They negotiate prices, so nothing is set in stone. Here you go, massage parlor. And here you go, a woman asked me, oh, you want to get in this bed? And I'm like, no, thank you. And that's the thing. It's like, as I was saying, this massage parlor is everywhere in Thailand. And I don't like strangers touching me. Not only that, I guess in order to keep their massage parlors on the up and up, they have them in open areas. I don't want to be laying there with my shoes off and my back out and my stomach out. I don't want to be laying there in the mall while somebody strange is touching on me. I just don't know. I don't want that. So she was, as you can see, I was being solicited and I quickly turned her down because I just wasn't interested. And then you have the Thai streets right here. This was near the metro line, and that was like a mall that was right near my airport. Right near my hotel. It was actually pretty far from the airport. And here I am. I was just walking on the street, just looking around and everything. In this part of the video, you'll see me and my Filipina girlfriend at the time. We were walking through what was called Khao San Road. Now, one thing I realized about coming to Khao San Road, if you're a man and you want to buy suits, this is absolutely the place to come. Now, I have basically figured out that if I want to get suits tailor-made to fit, perfectly cut in every single way, this is where you got to come. Now, Khao San Road is actually a mixture of shops. They've got tourist shops for souvenirs. They've got a lot of massage parlors. They have a lot of restaurants. And then it's basically like a walking street for buying stuff for the most part. And like when I went there, they had some great souvenirs and I was able to get plenty of things to take home, to give to my family and to give to certain friends and whatnot. Khao San Road is really, really, really good for that. So anyway, you got to understand, and then you have the crazy exotic foods like the scorpions and the spiders and stuff. And really, I think they understand that most people aren't going to actually try to eat any of that stuff. And then they got alligator right here. So what they do is they just have you pay them to take photos next to it so that this way you can be like, yeah, I went to Thailand. I took this photo with this crazy ass shit like scorpions and spiders and stuff. Like they let you pick up the sticks and pretend that you're eating it and everything. So if you do go to Thailand and you do go to Bangkok, you really should visit Khao San Road. It's very easy to get to, and you go there and you can get all types of stuff and everything. As for the suit makers, the guy who ended up taking me to have me fitted for suits was a Nepalese guy. He was from Nepal. And let me tell you something. At first, I was apprehensive. They were charging me about, what was it? They were charging me, I think it was about $200 per suit, if I'm not mistaken. I was a little apprehensive at first. But I went to the shop. They show you that you can have the insides made for the suit, and you can very specifically custom cut it. You can have whatever you want made. If you want to have a blue suit with a red interior, you could do that. They got everything they need there, all the materials, and they're ready to take your order. But what's funny is there's so much competition there to make suits until they have to keep their prices low just to make sure that they can get, business to come there, right? So they got it all. It's like if you want tuxedos, if you want suits, if you want wedding dresses, this is where you got to go. Because if you go there, you'll get it at a fraction of the price. When I was buying suits here in America, I'm paying like $1,000 a suit. But nah, when you come here, that same suit, that same quality, you're getting it for like $200 or $300 tops. And you'd be best if you want to deck out your wardrobe, you'd be best just to save your money and to come to Thailand just to make your wardrobe. And then there's the food. We had some excellent food. All their food was good. It was like when I went to South Korea, to tell you the truth, some of their food I wasn't crazy about. I found myself eating just meat and rice mostly and some vegetables on the side. Let me tell you something. This Thai food, man, that stuff was incredible. And it was like the cheaper the food was, the better it was. It was like if you eat on the street, you go to the vendors, food was excellent. If you go to the restaurant, the food was good, but it wasn't as perfect as it was on the street. Like if you go to the street, it was absolutely fabulous. And we had some great meals. It was fabulous. But I know why you're really here. You're really here because you're trying to find out about what the women are like. Most of you dudes, you've had enough of this liberal feminism and y'all are looking for Thai wives, and that's why you're here. Okay, fine. Well, first of all, I must say you should never mess with bar girls and you should never mess with these masseuses, because the thing about it is, whether they're into, how should I say, prostitution or not, it's probably better that you don't get intertwined with any of them. It's actually better to look for the working women who are interested in meeting foreign men, and you might find them at the nightclubs, or you might find them in daily life there, because there's a lot of guys who actually work in Thailand. And if you're an expatriate and you work there, it's easier to meet these women. But as you can see, they had a whole lot of massage parlors, and they got the women just sitting out there in these little plastic chairs and waiting for guys to come along and pay for massages. I'm not into any of that. But a lot of these dudes who come from UK and a lot of these dudes who come from New Zealand and Australia, that's exactly what these dudes are looking for. I don't know why, but hey, listen, my thing is, if it works out for you and it works out for them, to God be the glory, because the thing about it is, passport bros are winning. As you can see, I didn't even go there looking for women because I brought one with me. So I didn't... See, you got to understand, men are hunter-gatherers. We go out and hunt for things, and we bring them back. That's what we do. It's at the very basis, that's what we do. We go out and hunt for food, we bring it back to the house. We go out and hunt for collectible items, we bring them back to the house. George Carlin had a joke. He says, your house is a place to keep your stuff while you go out and you get more stuff. It makes perfect sense. Men are hunter-gatherers. We're evolved to be hunter-gatherers. Unfortunately, when you hunt and gather a wife, the problem is that's the one thing that you might bring home that might try to run out on you. That's the one thing that you might bring home that might cheat on you. See, I don't have to worry about my car cheating. My car is going to sit right there with no key in it, and it ain't going nowhere as long as none of these motherfucking car thieves come around trying to steal some shit. But in this area, I'm pretty good. I have never had to worry about that. But the point is, men are hunter-gatherers. And women don't seem to understand that. Men are looking, like, sometimes you see, like, really good-looking men with ugly women. The thing about it is maybe she's ugly to you, but to him, she's reliable, she's consistent. Most of all, she's reliable. And most likely, she's faithful, too. He would rather have consistency and reliability than to try to go for an 8 or 9 who's cheating on him. Now, I stop at 8 or 9 because there's no such thing as a 10. There's no such thing as a 10. God tried to make a 10 when he made Eve, and that turned out really badly. In fact, it caused the entire downfall of man. There's no 10s. The scale goes from 0 to 9, and it stops at 9. There are no 10s. So, at any event, great place to go. If you are looking to go to Thailand anytime soon, I recommend that you go there during April, during spring break. And the reason why is because the weather tends to be better during that time. You see, Southeast Asia enters the monsoon season during our summer. Because when it's summer for the northern hemisphere, it's winter in the southern hemisphere. So it's like exact opposites. So when we have spring, they are actually experiencing a fall. But for the most part, great place. If you can get there, go there. You'll absolutely love it.